In this video, we're going to talk about door size up and the lock size up specifically. As in all forcible entry operations, it's absolutely a critical portion of the operation. If you don't know what you're up against, you're going to have a much harder time defeating it. So typical questions that you need to ask is what type of door? Do we have, for example, a metal-clad door like this one, or do we have a wooden door like this one? What is the type of jamb? Is the jamb actually made of metal or is it made out of wood? What type of locks are we dealing with? Are we dealing with a standard key and knob lock? Are we dealing with deadbolts, privacy locks, rim locks, whatever? Are there any additional locking items that you can tell? For example, like drop bars. What are the brands of the locks? Perhaps are they like a Kwikset? Like these little guys right here would be a Kwikset, all right, and a Schlage. All right. What brand of locks? That could tell us a lot about it. Are we going to be forced to use destructive entry, or can we use non-destructive entry? And do we have the time available to force entry through a lock? What is the actual need to force entry? Do we have to get inside? And then are the locks actually the weak points? For example, sometimes hinges can be exploited or other parts of a door can be exploited. If you look down on this one down here, there's actually a pet door. Perhaps we could do something with that. So do a good size up on it. Will tell you a lot of those different things. As far as our doors go, a metal door, what we would consider to be a metal door, like this one, are generally just metal clad over foam. And you can tell a lot of times just by how they sound. Do they sound kind of dull thud? Is it hollow sounding? Most of the time, as far as the actual door goes, the only locking or blocking in it is on the side right here. Some of them are even done with like a wood look to the metal, but they're still metal. Not that you would carry a magnet around with you, but that's an easy way to find out if it's a metal-clad door. Fiberglass doors, very similar to metal. They normally get a wooden look to them, but if you tap on them, very soon you're going to realize that they're not wooden at all, that they're actually foam-filled fiberglass. Your wooden doors, like the red door on the prop, these guys are the most stout, and a lot of times you can tell that they're wooden simply by a knock test. I mean, you can feel that it's solid all the way through. The other thing that we need to find out is the swing of the door. Is it an interior swinging left-hand door, interior swinging right-hand door, or outward swinging door, right or left-handed? What type is the jamb? You know, if we actually look at the door jamb, is it a wooden jamb? Is it a metal jamb? What are we actually looking at? And then the door stop, is that something that can be moved or pushed out of the way so that we can actually make access, for example, with a shove knife? What are the other locking mechanisms that they have? Do they have drop bars? Do they have panic hardware? Are there any different kind of bolts, like cane bolts or something like that? You'll normally find those down at the bottom of the door. This one's got some bolts through it, but those actually are for a different lock, but those could give you a clue as to what else is on the other side of the door. And then when we go back to the locks themselves, when we look at the locks, we can see just by that, okay, there's a Schlage. And then up here, that's going to be a Kwikset. But if we've got any high security locks, for example, like Primus locks or Medeco locks, things of that nature, those are going to be something that we can generally go through. They're very difficult to get through them. So can the lock easily be gone through? Maybe you can find another door that might give you easier access. And then can we work on them? Do we have room to put in our K-tool or our A-tool, our Rex tool, or are they too close to the frame? So now looking at all of these things, can you do a non-destructive entry, or do you have to use destructive entry and bring out your irons and go that route? That's always a possibility. The other thing that you should be looking at is how much time do you have to make entry? The damage needs to match the environment. So for example, maybe minimal damage for no confirmed trouble, like automatic alarms, person who's fallen but is not injured, just needs help up. You know, if we don't know if they're injured or not, we might need to do some minimal to medium damage. And then, you know, for true emergencies, we know the damage is going to be inconsequential if it means that we save a life. Do we actually have the requirement to make entry, or is there another way in other than the door? Maybe another door, a scuttle or a window. And then are the locks even the weak point? hinges may need to be exploited, like I said before. You might be able just to go through the strike with a shove knife. That might be the easiest way. So all of these different things are going to tell you what you can do as far as through the lock forcible entry. Your size up is absolutely critical.